All right. So today I just wanted to show how to go into your Wakelet and go to design and then choose mood board if you want to change it so that they're like a bunch of cards going across and shuffling through. And that way you can see more at the same time versus the default, which is media view, where you can kind of scroll down. More like a web page kind of look to it. And then the grid view is like a 2x2. That one's nice as well. But the mood board one probably for your about me would make the most sense since there's probably not a specific order that things go in. From here, we are going to share. And the share button is up here where that blue icon is. And that blue icon has a little share. If you click that, by default, I think it starts with no access. You want to click on the no access and choose can view. So after you get it that you can view, you're going to click copy link. And then if you go into your OneNote under assignments, you have an assignment that says about me collection and you can paste your link right in there. Haley, do you want to try talking to see if we can hear you? So I can tell that you unmuted, but I can't hear anything you said. Is anyone else hearing her?
What did I do?
Okay, I hear you now, Chris.
Okay.
Did you hear Haley when she was talking?
No, I did not.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, Haley, that didn't work. I'll just keep my chat open, Haley, and if you have a question, go ahead and put it in there. Was everyone able to go into Wakelet and get that link and put it in your About Me? Do it even if you're not finished with the About Me, because as you add to the About Me, the link doesn't change. It remains the same. So when you put that link in there and I click on it, it will be the most recent version that you've created that I will see as long as you stay inside the same Wakelet. So you can add more things to your Wakelet as you go, but you can copy that link right now and I will always see the most finished version when I click on it. So if you add 5 more things after you put the link in there, I will see those 5 things when I click on it. Does that make sense?
I think I missed something. Can you show me how to find that link again?
Sure. Okay, so are you in the About Me, Chris?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So when you go up to share, by default, I think initially it says no access and there won't be a link there. You have to click where it says no access and there's a little chevron next to it. If you click the chevron, it has a drop-down menu and one of the options is can view. And can view is what you want. Can add would mean that someone else could contribute to your About Me. And although that's a really cool feature of Wakelet, it's not one you need for this particular assignment. So just click can view. And then the blue copy link should show up there. You have to click that blue button. And then it has copied your link into your, are you on your iPad, Chris? Or on your
Yes, I am. No,
computer?
I'm on my
Okay.
iPad.
Okay, then it's gonna probably look a little bit different there. Hold on, let me see if I can get that up. I'm really hoping I don't lose you guys today, but I forgot to do this again. If I do lose you, come back. Are you all still there? Okay, so there is a way in here that I can share my iPad. Let me click on that as long as we're both on the same Wi-Fi. Are you in the app, Chris? Are you web-based?
I was web-based, but I do have the app.
Okay. Let me show what it looks like on the app too, because I didn't do that yet in either class. So definitely looks different in the app. I'm trying to click on things with my mouse, not realizing I need to click on them with my finger on my iPad. So I apologize. So under collections, I have the About Me. And if I click on that, it looks like this here. If I click the three dots at the top, there's an option to share. And then there's copy link. Now, with that said, I wonder had I not already opened it. Let me go back here and change that to no access and see what happens. Okay, so are you guys still seeing my iPad screen or are you seeing the computer screen? Do you see a bunch of the show friends going off on my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so you're on my iPad. Okay, so on the iPad screen, you'll notice mine right now at the top under where it says About Me says private. It means I haven't yet told it that, so this is initially how it looks. I have to click the three dots here, and then you'll see it doesn't have this option to share because I haven't made it like viewable yet. So under edit, I have to choose allow sharing. So it's a little more complex when through the app to get to this point. But after you allow sharing, you don't have to do that more than once. It's just a one-time deal per Wakelet collection. So you'll see here, it tells me what I have down for things, and under the fourth thing down, it says allow sharing. So if you click that little button and turn it blue and hit save, now you'll notice where it said private before, it says unlisted. And if I click the three dots now, I get that share icon again, where I can copy the link. Chris, were you able to get that to work?
Yes, that's why when I was in the app earlier, I didn't see the share, but now I can see why now.
Do you, oh, so Haley, I see your question. Do we need to get the app? No, you don't have to get the app if you don't want to. You can use it web-based. Some students in my other class that were on their iPad were having trouble getting the links to easily copy and paste into Wakelet when they were trying to go through the Safari. But when they switched to the app, they didn't have any problems at all. So I think probably that would be the best thing, is just to see if the web-based one is working. And if not, then go ahead and download the app. But you don't need an app at all if you're on the computer or the laptop version. Are we okay with that? All right, I'm going to stop sharing that and go back to sharing my computer screen. And I'm going to demo that one more time. So again, if you're on the computer version or the web-based version and you go under share, it starts off with no access. That's the same as being set to private. And then if you click it to can view, that's like saying you want to share it. And then you click this copy link. This down here will give you, I think, the QR code for it. And the other options are if you wanted to embed inside Teams or Google Classroom. You can always add a person too, so you can have someone else that you are just collaborating with. This is a pro feature, so you have to be a pro member in order to do that. But by default, everyone should be able to do this part up here at the top. I do think with the free one, you're only allowed to share 3 of the Wakelet. So if you had already shared one before, we might need to turn off the sharing on one of your old ones if you were playing around with it and you have a couple that you were trying. Chris and Haley, were you able to get that to work?
Yes, I got it copied and
Perfect.
pasted.
Haley, how about you? Did you get that? Just put it in the chat. No? Okay. Haley, are you on your iPad? Are you web-based? Oh, you're app-based. Okay. Do you want me to walk through that again on the iPad? Or do you want me to just help you during class? Okay. All right. The next thing we're going to look at is in OneNote. If I go under, actually, I'm going to go under Brianna. Assignments. You had an assignment that was to watch some of these OneNote tutorials and to write down 3 things that you learned from them. So if you guys just want to type in the chat or unmute and let me know something that you learned from watching the OneNote student tutorials. This is what one student in the other class said.
I learned how to better prepare my iPad for note taking.
Great. And what types of things do you do in advance, Rose, to help prepare it for note taking?
Set up your pens so that you have the size for each of them.
Perfect. Good. Anyone else? One of the things that the student I have up mentioned during class on Wednesday was that they learned how to use the tables to organize like their homework, and basically because OneNote is an infinite canvas, she wanted there to be more structure on the page. So you can use the table feature to introduce that idea. And actually that's what I have right here is I have a table and I just used some color coding to actually make it so it looks like there's headers and have, this is where Bree typed in her answers. And I think her second one was similar to Rose in that how to use, set up the pens to be more efficient. And I'm not sure exactly what Bree meant by using icons in OneNote, but she may have meant some of the preset tags that are in there. You can also insert emojis as you go as well. What I want to work on today, and what will be your homework, is to create a OneNote notebook for a different class and organize it. You don't have to fill it up or actually use it if you don't wish to, but we're just going to talk about how to set up a OneNote notebook for a different class. And if you prefer, you can create something other than a class notebook. You could create a recipe book or a notebook for some large project or event you're planning. So for example, I had a student who did one for her wedding that she was planning. And I've had a couple students who have done recipe books. So I'm going to show you my recipe book so you can kind of see what it looks like for something other than a class. So in my OneNote, I have my weekly plan of the meals that we're going to go. Now, I love to meal plan for the whole week. My whole family has rebelled against me on this, but this is kind of how it would look like. So you can set it up so that you have a weekly plan with a shopping list. And in here, you'll notice all of this is tables, and I've just used some color coding. So 2 things I want to mention before we get deep into this is I right now I'm on the desktop app, not the iPad, and I have my sections as tabs going across the top. So if I click view, right here it says tab layout, and if I turn to vertical tabs, that's the way it looks for you if you are web-based and the way it looks if you're on the iPad. Oh, Chris was saying that his microphone is glitchy. He said, I like the idea of the sticky note so I could quickly see info that I thought was relevant, but I haven't been able to make one yet. Okay, we'll talk about that. Great. All right, so in here, I just wanted to show you, this is the layout I try to show on the computer classroom one because it's the one that matches the iPad the best. Personally, however, when I'm working on my own computer, I always have the horizontal tabs going across the top because I prefer to kind of see all those sections here and only the pages over here. For me, it's less clunky and easier to go between things. And actually in class, it takes me longer sometimes to navigate because the vertical tab view is not the one that I prefer to use. Just realized I have a typo there. Okay. So this is an example of using a table. So up here is the title, and it's called a title whether you're in a recipe book or not. And then down here, I've just taken and created a table that has 2 columns. And although it looks like it's only 3 rows, if I tell it to show my grid lines, you'll see I actually have these top 2 the same color because I wanted the title, and then underneath it, I wanted to put the information about how long it would take to do that recipe. So when I hide the borders, you can't tell that they're 2 different rows, but when I'm creating them, I was just trying to provide more structure and easier to insert the information for my recipe. So I created a page card template, and then I just, recipe card template for a page, and then I just duplicate this and put it in there. If you're on the computer, you can actually have this set to be one of your, just find where it is. Page templates. I'm just trying to. So it's under insert. I do not believe this is an option on the iPad, only on the desktop version. There's a page templates, and when you click on that, you have lots of page templates that you can choose from. Usually they pop up over here. It's just taking a while. There they go. So you have templates, and I can create a template. So if I want this page, this recipe card, to be one of my templates, I say save current page as a template. And now under my templates, it will show up there. This is handy if you have some format that you like to do your notes in or your homework in. You can save that template and have it to kind of choose from. If I go to academic, these are some pre-built in ones. And I'm just going to go to if I wanted to do a sample lecture notes, it comes up and it kind of has a default view. If you're doing math or science notes, it's a little bit of a different view. And then there's blank ones that are like letter, legal. So if I want it to be a legal size, it would just schedule it so, or make it so that that's all it does. Is see if I can get that to the gray part. It basically limits it to the size paper of a legal size piece of paper in case you were going to print. You also have the ability to do background colors, but I actually think it's much easier just to do these inside under view, and then you can change page color to whatever you want right there. But there's a lot of different templates in there, and you can look at them. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in those because some people use them and some people never use them. And I do not believe you have that option on your iPad under insert. It's only in the desktop version. Okay. So yeah, that's unfortunately, Haley, something you can't do on the iPad. But you can create it on the desktop version and just save it in one of your notebooks and then just copy the page. And that's what I often do. For example, that recipe card, I just duplicate that by copying the page and reusing it that way. Okay. Now, for your homework assignment, you have to create your own OneNote notebook. So the first thing we're going to do is create a notebook. So depending what device you're on, if you're on, let me switch back to the view most of you guys are on. If you want to create a new notebook, I'm going to scroll way down. I have a lot of weird stuff right there. I'm not sure what that is. Misplaced sections. Okay. So I think on the desk or on the iPad, it is at the very bottom, it says add notebook. But I think on the computer version, you're going to go file, new, and you're going to tell it where you want it. I would assume you guys have a cloud space called OneNote Jefferson Community College. And if you click add notebook on the iPad, it says create notebook and just asks you to give it a name. And as long as you're signed into your OneDrive, by default, it should be coming up saying OneDrive Jefferson Community College. So this right here will also be in the list of things under location on your iPad. So I'd like everybody to create a new notebook, and what name you give it is up to you. So if you want to make a notebook for your psychology class you're taking, you can do that. If you want to make a notebook that's for all of your courses, you can do that. If you want to make a notebook that is a recipe book, you can do that. So you really have wide options here. I'm going to say mine is going to be called Demo Class Notebook. And it's going to ask you if you want to invite people. Just say not now. So you can collaborate inside of OneNote with other people, but that's really not the purpose of this notebook that we're creating right now. And you can always add people later if you want. So you'll notice that this notebook is going to be much simpler than the one that I share with you because it is not pre-made. It basically has nothing in it yet. If I switch over to the other view where I have the horizontal tabs, you have one section that has been created and one untitled page that has been created. So before I go further, can you guys put in the chat what device you're using so that because if everybody's on their iPad, I'll just show the iPad version and not both. Okay, so we have a mixture. Okay, so that was the desktop version. Let me click over to the iPad version for a second. Okay, so down in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see Add Notebook. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to type in Demo Class version 2. And you can change the color of it, but you'll see it says that my location is going to be OneDrive, and I can change that, but that's actually where I want it to go, so I'm going to leave that. Okay, so now you'll see I have the notebook at the bottom. It says demo class, and the top of the second thing, it says new section 1, and then it says untitled page. So if I want that new section 1, maybe instead to say chapter 1, I click the 3 dots and I say edit, and then I'm going to just press the dot where it says new section 1 and the little pen, and then say rename to be chapter 1. I'm going to add another section. I'm going to call this one chapter 2. I'm going to add another section. I'm going to call this one homework. So if you want to add at least 3 sections of whatever they are, if you're making a recipe book, it could be, main dishes and appetizers and desserts. So from here, I can go back to chapter 1. And once I click on that, it's going to get me, so I'm just looking at my pages and I want to name this page. So I'm going to click up here in the title area and I can, whatever name I put there is going to be the name that shows up on the left in my menu area. So maybe I'll call these day 2 notes. And by default, it automatically puts the date and the time you created the note in there, which if you're taking notes, that's kind of handy. I'm going to click right there. We can go to view and I could add some lines if I wanted to. And that's in the same location if you're on the computer version. And if you're handwriting, depending on how you write, you might want wider lines. And that is handy if you're using your stylus on your iPad. If you're typing, maybe you don't want the lines, you can always go back to it being blank. And some people like the grid behind it. That's completely up to you. You can also change the paper color. So if you want like a yellow color for that, you could do that. And then up where it says switch background, how do you edit the title of the page? Click up in where it says the title and you should be able to double tap and change anything there you want. So say maybe this isn't day 2 notes, it's actually day 1 notes. But then you want to click out, you want to tap outside of the title. So you go down below so you're not up there in that title area the whole time. You want to get down the body of the page. And I just want to remind people with that switch background at the top there, if you click on that, that's going to switch me into dark view or back into day view. That's up to you which one you want to be in. If you're going to be going back and forth between them, especially if you're going to live in dark mode, try using a font color. So if I type right now, it's going to be white, but when I switch back, it switched okay. But if someone on the other end was trying to look at it at the same time as you, like in your group area, sometimes it's better to change that color if you go into home of your font to blue. Just because when you switch from backgrounds, it still shows up. And again, that's not really an issue on your own device. It's if you're sharing something. So if you're in the group area, if it's your homework or whatever, don't worry about it. But if you're in the group area, sometimes that impacts things. So things that we can insert here that makes these notes, maybe taking notes in OneNote, an advantage of it over paper notes is that say you were working on something on the whiteboard and you wanted to insert it, you can just go to insert and you can go to camera. And if it's on a whiteboard, you can click whiteboard. I don't have a whiteboard handy, but put this here. And you can click on that, or you can use document if it's something that you've handwritten, like maybe you did a problem on paper, or you can just outright take a photo. But usually the whiteboard or the document work better for the case where it's something maybe that you did either with your own handwriting, that oftentimes comes out better. So I'm just gonna click the button, and once you get it, it does a much better job. If it's on whiteboard, it will grab the actual whiteboard. I'm gonna hit confirm. And then if you need to crop it or rotate it, do that here because OneNote doesn't let you do it after you insert it. But if there's another page, so say this is a test and you took 2 or 3 pages to do it, the little add button there lets you add another page. That came out. Oh, there we go. And then We hit this, and now I can flip between the two pages. So if there was one I wanted to crop or one I needed to rotate, I could do that right there before I hit done. And once I hit done, all the images I have for all the pages will come in. So if you decide to do your take-home portion of your exam that we'll have in a few weeks on paper, this is a way you can insert it into OneNote. And I will obviously help you with that again when it gets close to that time. So that's one thing that's really convenient. Another one is if I want to insert a video, I can actually go to YouTube. So say you're trying to figure out how to do a homework problem, you go to YouTube and you find a good video, you can always paste the link to that video directly in here. So maybe I really like this OneNote video. I'm going to click share, copy link. When I paste it in, not only does the link come in, the entire video comes in. Oh, I lost you guys. Hold on. My iPad disconnected. It's not wanting to connect in. And that feature works whether you're on the computer or you're on the iPad or you're web-based. All of it should work. Okay. And then obviously you have lots of features under draw. Now the draw feature works great if you're on the iPad. And I think this is one of the things Rose was talking about. You can preset up your pens with the thickness you want. If you just hold down the color that you're on or double tap it, you can come up with the different thicknesses. So that top thing with all the circles, that's how wide your pen tip is going to be. And then below that are the different colors you can choose for. And obviously there's more ink colors there. And here's where you can actually delete that color. I forgot who asked me that in class, but someone asked me if they could delete one of the highlighters they created. And you can right down there where it says delete. You could delete that pen if after you make it, you don't like it. I created a whiteout pen just because sometimes I feel like I need to white out things. So that's there. But obviously, if it's something that you write, you can use the eraser and just erase it. This pen that has the A on it is you can actually, if you have an Apple Pencil, you could actually write and it will change it into typed text for you as you're writing. But you can also handwrite something and then use the lasso and put the lasso around it and choose to, I have to write something first, sorry. Okay, apparently on the iPad it doesn't let you. On your computer, you would do this and then you would click this and then it can change it. There's an option to change it if you right click into type text. On the iPad, you would start by using this pen and write, hello class, and it would change it into typed for you. Okay, so what I really want to look at today is not all those things. I have lots of videos you can watch about all the things you can insert into a OneNote page, but let's start by making another page. So do you see in the bottom left hand corner, it says add page? As soon as you do that, it's going to default to ask for what you want the title to be. So I'm going to type in day 2. And then I'm going to tap in the body of the page, and now I can do whatever I want to that page. I can even insert a table. And if I want to insert more rows or more columns, I can do that right here as well. Now, what you cannot do on the iPad is I cannot shade them different colors, the cells. If you want to design that template of like I did for my recipe card, I would do that on the computer or web-based version of OneNote because it has the ability to do different colors for the tables. And as you type in here, the cell will automatically get larger as you type in there. The other thing the iPad doesn't let you do is make the lines, the grid lines for the table invisible, but it does let you do that on the web-based and the desktop version. Okay, I'm going to go back out to my computer version. So if I was making the table here, insert table, and I want to adjust things, I can do that here. I can also color code the shading like that. And obviously I can make the container larger if I need to. And if I insert a picture or type in here, it will automatically grow as needed with whatever I insert into the cell. Questions on sections or pages, and I'll go back to the other view to match. So over here, you have your notebook. Underneath it, I have one section and one page. And if I add another section, and if I add another page, it's right here. So the biggest difference is where the add notebook and add page are on your iPad versus the desktop version. They're at the bottoms on the iPad and they're up here at the top on your desktop version. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to create a notebook for homework and with at least 3 sections and multiple pages inside each. And I'd like you to try doing things like inserting links, inserting a picture, inserting a picture from like a whiteboard, inserting a document. And the one other thing I showed the other class that I haven't shown you is how to get files into here. So if you go under insert and say you've downloaded a file from Brightspace for one of your teachers, you can say insert and then file printout. And if you're on the iPad, it's just file. And you can go find the file that you've downloaded. I click that and click insert. And it will, when you're on Word or when you're in the desktop version, it's going to look like it's opening Word in the background and then it's printing it in there. And I have mine set to print to background so that I can write right on top of them. So if, first of all, the file itself will come right there and then underneath it will be the printout of that. What I would suggest is if you don't need that file anymore, deleting it and just having the printout below it, where you can highlight with your pens and write on top of things. So if you had notes that your teacher has pre-planned, I'll pick on Mr. Gross. I know he gives template notes for his students. You could take his template notes, download them from Brightspace, and then put them into here. And then you could write on them in class, which I think, Haley, you have Mr. Gross, right? So what I would say is if you're in Brightspace, don't just do the view of it, actually hit the download of that file, because that preview mode that Brightspace gives you is not a good view for this. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. Are there any questions you guys have?
I'm good.
The other thing I want to remind you is to get some peanut butter and jelly pictures, because next class we'll be starting to use Explain Everything and make a screencast of how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So again, they can be real life photos you take, or they can be ones you get off the internet. Any other questions?
How many of those pictures should we have?
For the PB&J, I would say at least 3 and less than 20. I think you can get away with 3 pictures, Chris. Really, my whole goal of it is just to teach you how to insert the photos into the video that you're going to be creating. So I would think if I was making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I might want a picture of my materials and maybe the peanut butter and jelly sandwich in process, like, you know, putting the peanut butter on, putting the jelly on, and then maybe the end sandwich. So sometimes people make a picture of the jar of peanut butter, the jar of jelly, the knife, that kind of stuff, and snap a picture of that. And then they do one of the actual sandwich being created. But I would say a minimum of 3. This sounds good. Don't go crazy. Probably 10 is too many. Any other questions? And again, if you don't want to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and whatever sandwich you're throwing together, you can use that one as your screencast, or you can just go on the web and grab them off there. Okay, guys, I appreciate you coming in today. If you have any more questions, let me know. And have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Bye, Sarah.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye, Chris.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye, Rose.